Imagine a covered walkway in ancient Athens, a long porch open to wind and footsteps, painted with scenes of old battles. People pass on errands, vendors call out, and amid the noise a voice says, "You can live well even when fortune will not behave." Not by pretending feelings don't exist, but by learning to feel cleanly and act clearly. This is Stoicism, a discipline for ordinary life. It trains 4 dependable capacities: wisdom to see things as they are, justice to act for more than yourself, courage to move toward what is right, temperance to do enough and not too much. It rearranges value so that character is the good you never have to beg the world to return, and it rearranges effort so your best energy goes where it changes outcomes. It doesn't hand you a mask, it hands you a method. Our journey is simple and long enough to calm you as it teaches. We'll walk from Shipwreck to Zeno's Porch, study Lao Tzu's distant cousin in spirit, non-forcing as it appears in the Stoic dichotomy of control, sit with Epictetus who owned little but himself, listen to Seneca on time and anger, and watch Marcus Aurelius writing by lamplight, teaching his hand to make mercy a habit. Between these scenes we'll practice short moves that turn philosophy into something your nerves can recognize. You don't need a temple or a title for this. You need breath, attention, a willingness to stop wrestling with weather and start piloting the small boat you actually steer. Your judgments, your choices, your responses. If you've been looking for a way to be steady without going numb, kind without becoming a doormat, effective without burning the wick from both ends, you are in the right place. Come to the porch. The air is salted from the sea. The floor is stone worn by many feet. A teacher gestures toward the open city and says, "Practice belongs here." The story begins in water. Zeno of Citium sails with purple dye and hopes for a trader's life. The sea answers with weather. Cargo overboard, plans dissolved, the kind of loss that strips a person to what can't be taken. He arrives in Athens not as a success, but as a question mark, and wanders into a bookshop where a volume on Socrates cracks something open. He recognizes a sturdier measure of a life, not applause, not luck, but how you stand and what you serve. Zeno studies with different schools, then does an unfashionable thing. He chooses to teach not in a private garden, but in a public colonnade, the Stoa Poikile, the painted porch, where anyone can drift near and listen. A philosophy born in the open won't forget who it's for. Passers-by call them stoikoi, porch people. The name sticks. What does he tell the crowd? First, that virtue is the only real good. Not because food and shelter and friendship don't matter, but because these can be present or absent without deciding whether you are living well. Health, money, reputation, call them preferred indifference, worth choosing when you can, because they make service easier, but never worth trading your character for. If you confuse tools for ends, they will end up owning you. If you keep the hierarchy straight, you can enjoy what you have and survive what you lose. Second, that effort has a natural boundary. Some things are up to us, our judgments, intentions, and actions. Some are not. Other people's choices, the past, reputation, luck, and much of the body's future. Put your finest energy into the first. Hold the second with an open hand. This is not fatalism, it is precision. A captain can't control the wind, but trimming and timing can save the ship. A parent can't control a child's entire fate, but presence and example shape a soul more than worry does. The moment you stop pretending to govern the sea, you recover power where it lives. Third, that attention is trainable. The porch is a gym. Mornings preview difficulty. Today I will meet hurry, arrogance, confusion. Let me meet them with patience, modesty, clarity. Evenings, review. Where did I act according to what I admire? Where did I miss? What small correction will I try tomorrow? This isn't self-punishment, it's craftsmanship. A blade stays sharp by regular, gentle work, not by panic the day it fails. All of it sits inside a larger picture the Stoics loved, a cosmos shot through with order, a web of cause where each life is a strand. You needn't settle metaphysics tonight to feel the practical point. Cooperate with reality. If the schedule collapses, repurpose the hour. If the plan fails, don't double the failure with anger at the fact that plans fail. If loss arrives, give it clean sorrow instead of a second wound, made of rage at winter for being winter. This cooperation is not surrender. It is the shortest road to useful action. On the stones of the Stoa, the first practices take shape. A young listener asks how to stop spiraling about what others think. Zeno sketches a circle in dust. The inner ring, up to you. The outer ring, not up to you. He places a pebble in the inner ring and says, "Stand here. Choose words you won't regret. Do the work in front of you. Let reputation follow the work like a shadow, not like a leash around the throat." Another listener asks how to succeed. Zeno shrugs toward the market and answers with 2 moves. Do the next honest thing and do it well. Desire results, but do not stake your peace on them. A final lesson for this first day is soft courage. The porch is not a battlefield. It is a place to practice quiet strength, the ability to keep your standards without needing to stage them. You'll know it's working when you stop narrating your virtue and start enjoying the work. Your temper shortens less often. Your yes means yes, and your no arrives without thunder. You feel the relief of having fewer decisions because you already decided who you are. Test the teaching in small things. A delay at the shop, a colleague's sharp remark, a plan that meets weather. Notice the division. Mine/not mine. Pick up your part, posture, tone, the single next step, and put down the rest. The difference in weight is immediate. You haven't become cold. You've become available to the task, to the person in front of you, to the hour that's actually happening. From Shipwreck to Porch to you, the thread is unbroken. Stoicism's first gift is permission to stop fighting what doesn't listen and to spend yourself where goodness can take root. Keep that pebble in your pocket. Inner ring, outer ring. We'll use it again when we meet the 4 virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, temperance, and learn how they turn from words into a way of moving through the day. Imagine the teacher pausing under the painted beams of the Stoa and drawing 4 small circles in the dust with a reed. He names them wisdom, justice, courage, temperance, the pillars of a life that doesn't sway when fortune leans. Not ornaments, not slogans, skills. You practice them like breath and posture until they become how you stand without thinking. Wisdom is first, not book collecting, but clear seeing. What is this thing in front of me? What does it cost to chase? What does it cost to refuse? Which part of it is truly under my control? Wisdom asks small questions that prevent large regrets. It shortens the distance between reality and your picture of reality. A wise person keeps 3 instruments within reach: attention, distinctions, and memory. Attention, so you actually meet the thing itself, not the rumor of it. Distinctions, so you separate the fact from your judgment about it. Memory, so you remember what has always happened when you ignored the first 2. Wisdom makes a room brighter without adding a lamp. Justice is wisdom turned outward. It is the decision to treat other people as partners in a shared world, not props in your private play. The Stoics call human beings co-citizens of the same city, born for cooperation. Justice is not only courts and laws, it begins at the smallest door, answering honestly, giving the benefit of context, returning what isn't yours to keep, time, credit, things. Justice asks, what would be fair if I were on the other side of this desk? It counts invisible labor. It corrects itself when better facts arrive. It is stern toward your own excuses and gentle toward others' limits. When justice grows, trust accumulates in the fabric of a day, and work stops feeling like a tug of war. Courage is the refusal to let fear choose your actions. Not fearlessness, right relation to fear. A Stoic does not brag about risk. They calibrate it. Courage walks with wisdom so it knows when a step is worthy, and with justice so it knows whom the step serves. Sometimes courage is loud. You speak when silence would betray. Often it is quiet. You keep going through tedious repair. You apologize first. You restart after a failure without the theatre of self-punishment. The Stoics remind us that most monsters shrink when named. Courage names what scares you and then designs a smaller first move you can actually take. Temperance is right measure, the art of not letting appetite become your law. It is not hostility toward pleasure. It's the ergonomic setting of the soul. Temperance asks, how much is the right amount here, for a human with my duties? It is the difference between a tool you use and a habit that uses you. In food, it is a plate that helps you work tomorrow. In speech, it is the sentence that doesn't need a flourish. In ambition, it is the goal that doesn't cost your character to achieve. Temperance protects space for wisdom to think, justice to listen, courage to act. The four do not live in separate rooms, they interlock. Wisdom without justice becomes clever selfishness. Justice without wisdom becomes punishment in costume. Courage without temperance becomes stunts. Temperance without courage becomes a quiet retreat from responsibility. When the four travel together, they correct each other's shadows. You can feel the fit in your body, a steadier breath when you tell the truth, a loosened jaw when you stop over-promising, a spine that straightens when you take the next right step, even if no one claps. The old teachers turned these virtues into daily practice. In the morning, preview. What duties will call me today? Where is the likely friction? Which virtue will I need ready at hand? At noon, mid-course correction. Is my judgment clean, my tone fair, my effort brave but not reckless, my desire sized to the task? At night, review. Where did I hit the mark? Where did I miss? What small repair can I make tomorrow? The point is not perfection, it is trajectory. A person who improves the angle by a degree a day will look like luck to others in a year. Try it in ordinary scenes. A colleague claims your idea in a meeting. Wisdom separates the fact from the sting. Justice chooses a response that protects the team's truth without humiliating anyone. Courage speaks plainly. Temperance keeps the tone measured, without the sugar of sarcasm. A family argument loops for the third time. Wisdom notices the trigger before the explosion. Justice remembers the other person's fatigue and your own. Courage asks the question that could end the loop. What would make this easier for you right now? Temperance stops when enough has been said. An offer arrives that flatters your pride, but would bend your values. Wisdom calculates the real cost. Justice checks who would be harmed by your convenience. Courage turns down applause. Temperance helps you live with the silence that follows. The four virtues also scale to leadership. A good manager or magistrate or parent does not need new categories. They need more of the same. Wisdom makes plans that survive contact with reality. Justice shares information and credit. Courage shields the vulnerable and owns the mistake. Temperance resists the addiction to constant control. People can feel virtue the way they feel weather. Under a leader with these four, they breathe. What if you fail? You will. The Stoics never promised stainless days. They promised a method of return. When you break your measure, snap at a stranger, duck a duty, scroll away an hour, use the failure as a handle. What misjudgment fed it? Which virtue was underfed? What tiny repair fits the scale of the damage? Then make it and move on. There is no virtue called self-loathing. Notice how portable this framework is. You can carry it into traffic, contracts, clinics, classrooms, and kitchens. It is light enough to travel, strong enough to shelter. The world does not become less volatile because you hold these four. You become less easy to knock over. And people around you, friends, clients, children, strangers, are safer in your weather. Before we leave the porch, look again at the circles in the dust. They are small on purpose. Big systems change slowly. Personal stance can change this hour. Take one circle with you into the next scene of the day. Let it color your next decision. Then another. Then another. The Stoics built philosophy not as a museum, but as a toolkit you can keep in a pocket and use without announcement. From here, we will meet the voices who refined these virtues into living language. Epictetus, who trained attention like a musician trains ear. Seneca, who measured wealth by the width of time. And Marcus Aurelius, who practiced justice on a throne. But before the names and stories, remember the pattern that holds them. 4 ways to stand, 4 ways to move, 4 ways to be good company to yourself in all kinds of weather. Picture a small schoolroom in Nicopolis. Benches, a draft from the door, a teacher with a walking stick and a gaze that makes excuses dissolve mid-sentence. He was born enslaved, injured in body, uninjured in spirit. His name is Epictetus, and he begins class the same way. Like a bell. Some things are up to us, some things are not. He does not say this to depress you. He says it to free your hands. Up to us. Judgment, intention, desire, aversion. The choices we make with our will. Not up to us. The body's fortunes, reputation, other people's decisions, offices, weather, outcomes. The mistake that ruins days is spending the lion's share of effort where we have no steering, then calling the crash fate. Epictetus refuses self-pity disguised as effort. He wants you to reclaim your tool, the faculty the Stoics call prohoresis, the power to choose your stance in your next act. He drills the point with scenes you know. You prepare with care, and a gatekeeper blocks you. Up to you, your politeness, clarity, persistence, refusal to flatter. Not up to you, the gatekeeper's mood. You send a message, reply does not come. Up to you, how you interpret the silence, whether you stew or proceed. Not up to you, the weather inside another mind. Pain visits. Up to you, the story you tell about it, the discipline to seek treatment, the honesty to rest. Not up to you, where the pain came today. Epictetus calls the mind's rightful home the inner citadel, not withdrawal, not hiding, a well-governed center. There you decide what a thing means before you let reflex decide for you. There you separate impressions from assent, the first flash of feeling from the story you attach. A driver cuts you off, the body surges, the old script leaps forward. Disrespect, personal attack. The Citadel opens a second door, a human in a hurry. Nothing to do with my worth. Anger is not outlawed, ownership is required. You decide whether it gets the keys. The schoolroom is practical. Epictetus assigns drills. When you catch yourself using the language of loss, I lost it. He took my time. Rephrase. I gave away attention I could have kept. When praise arrives, hold it lightly. When insults arrive, test them. Are they true? Then thank the teacher you didn't hire. Are they false? Then they are wind. When faced with a task, he asks you to whisper for the sake of and name the virtue it serves. Write for the sake of clarity. Decline for the sake of integrity. Persist for the sake of justice. A life with clean sakes grows resistant to fog. He warns against attachment to externals dressed as love. Love people, not the roles they play for you. Love your child, not the fantasy script you wrote for their life. Love work, not the image of self it props up. Otherwise, the first draft change of fortune will feel like identity theft. He invites you to practice voluntary discomfort, a plain meal, a hard bench, a day without the easy luxury, so you remember you can survive without things you've mistaken for oxygen. The point isn't austerity, it's unhooking. Epictetus's voice can sound severe until you hear the mercy beneath it. He is tired of watching people be bullied by what they cannot steer. He wants you to put your energy where it returns interest. When you shift effort from outcomes to process, two things happen. First, performance often improves because attention is no longer split between the work and the weather. Second, even when outcomes disappoint, you keep self-respect intact. You did what was yours to do. You can sleep. He also trains speech. Say only what you'd be willing to defend if challenged by a kind but relentless friend. Cut boasting. It leaks strength. Avoid gossip. It trains the tongue to be careless with facts. Don't narrate pain to gain a crown. Tend it, and save your crown for patience. Speak short and exact in counsels and emails. Clarity is a civic virtue. If you must refuse, refuse without theatre. He is building, word by word, a person who cannot easily be bought. There is humour in his classroom, the dry sort that punctures vanity. A student obsessing over a promotion asks what ritual will make it his. Epictetus shrugs. Ask for it, prepare well, accept the outcome. The student frowns. He wanted a secret incantation. Epictetus offers freedom instead. You can be decent and effective regardless of the decision. You can be miserable with the crown, and you can be tranquil without it. Choose the domain that never leaves your hands. He's not naive about the world's teeth. Some harms are real, some losses lacerate. His counsel is not a sedative, it's equipment. When circumstances are unjust, he does not say smile. He says, hold your ground, choose your response in alignment with virtue, and act where action can change something. When nothing can be changed at once, protect the citadel from corrosion, the slow acid of bitterness that makes a second victim out of the first. The world needs your clear head next week. Try his method today in 3 small experiments. Label the sphere, take one problem, draw a line down a page. Up to me, not up to me. Put behaviours on the left, calls, drafts, sleep, tone, preparation, boundaries. Put results on the right, approvals, rumours, market weather. Commit to exhausting the left column before you spend another unit of life arguing with the right. Recode a sting. When something pricks pride, add the phrase, or so it seems to me right now. It loosens the cement around the impression. You create just enough space to choose. Practice one refusal. Say no to a small temptation, not because it's evil, but because it proves you are not owned. The snack, the scroll, the last jab in the argument. Quiet victories compound. By the time class ends, the wind has shifted. The room is the same. You are arranged differently. The city will not stop being a city, but a person who can sort control from spectacle is harder to command from the outside and easier to guide from the inside. That is Epictetus's promise. Not painless days, but governable ones. A way to stand when the floor tilts. A will that is poor in excuses and rich in choice. On the next bench waits another voice. Seneca, sharp and eloquent, writing letters across centuries about time squandered, anger trained, fortune negotiated, and friendship kept. He will add a layer Epictetus does not emphasize. How to live among wealth and power without letting either own your hours. Picture a room lit by oil lamps. A senator writes at a narrow desk, the city's murmur pressed against the shutters. He writes to a younger friend, not speeches, letters, clear as water, edged like a tool. His name is Lucius Annaeus Seneca. And his subject is the one account we all own and keep wasting: time. He opens the ledger with a blunt line. People guard their money but leave their days open like a market stall. A coin lost stings, an hour lost is shrugged off. Seneca calls this the first poverty. Not that life is short, he says, but that we make it shorter by spending it on what is not life. He doesn't mean monastery seclusion. He means choosing, fewer errands of ego, fewer debts to noisy strangers, more hours where mind and work actually meet. Take back small pieces first: the hour before others wake, the walk without a screen, the conversation that starts 3 minutes after you would normally surrender to interruption. Time lengthens when attention stops leaking. From time he walks to anger. He calls it a brief madness, the emotion most likely to make a good person unrecognizable before lunch. He does not deny its heat. He denies it jurisdiction. Anger promises power and delivers regret. Seneca's counsels are practical. Delay. Anger hates waiting. Change posture. Standing or stepping outdoors makes the theatre smaller. Reduce the story. Name the event without the crown you add to it. I was interrupted, not I was disrespected by an ungrateful world. If discipline fails and the word escapes, repair quickly. A fast apology is not weakness. It's sanity before pride writes a sequel. He treats fortune like weather, worthy of respect, not worship. Fortune lends and collects. It smiles and forgets your name. It rearranges rooms with no survey of your plans. Seneca's antidote is preparation without grimness. Rehearse loss in imagination, not to live in dread, but to puncture shock. Touch what you fear. The thought of a simpler income, a smaller house, a plainer meal. Practice voluntary poverty once in a while. Rough cloak, coarse bread. Ask yourself, is this what I was afraid of? When fortune later plays its favorite trick, you've already met the flaw. Your gratitude for ordinary days grows because you have stopped mistaking amenities for oxygen. Some object. Easy for a rich man to preach simplicity. Seneca does not pretend poverty is the same from inside marble and outside it. He argues something narrower and still demanding. Whatever your means, own your hours. Wealth is not an alibi for scattering, nor is modest means a destiny of disorder. The question remains the same at every income. What am I doing with the day I have? Who or what has the right to spend it? If you must pay debts to duty and trade, pay them cleanly, then put the remainder where it makes a soul, not a noise. His letters keep returning to friendship, not a marketplace of favours, not a ladder, not a network. Friendship, for Seneca, is the place where you can set down the armour without an invoice arriving later. He tells Lucilius to choose few and choose well, to be worthy of being chosen, to speak truth in a way that preserves the person you are correcting. A friend is not a mirror for vanity. A friend is a daily standard. Someone in whose presence you wish to be slightly braver, cleaner, kinder. Write to them, he says. Write as if they were present. Write yourself toward the person you would not be ashamed to introduce to a good friend. Between these themes runs a vein of practice. Morning audit. Before the city claims you, list today's real duties. If they all vanished, what would still be worth doing? Put one such thing first, even if it's 10 minutes long. Noon correction. Catch a rising heat and shorten its speech. Replace the revenge fantasy with one repair. Evening review. Read the day like a ledger. Where did you spend foolishly? Where did you invest? Imagine the same day tomorrow with one subtraction. He urges generosity with what costs you least and returns most. Praise given honestly. Silence kept when gossip begs for your voice. Patience extended to a tired clerk. Gratitude written, not merely felt. These make you rich in the way that actually changes weather for others. He also warns about the theatre of busyness, racing from task to task to avoid the solitude where you might meet yourself. If you fear stillness, he says, it is not because stillness is empty, but because it introduces you to a crowded room inside you that needs tending. Seneca is not only maxims, he is style. His prose wastes no steps. You can hear him editing while he writes. This is part of the teaching. Clarity is a civic virtue. Write so that a rushed person can use your meaning. Speak so that nothing important is hidden behind a flourish. When you must persuade, help the other person win too. Show the seam where their need and the good align. You will be surprised how often agreement appears when neither side is being performed. He is also blunt about mortality. Do not postpone becoming the person you claim you will be once things calm down. The line never arrives. Begin now, small and serious. Read one page and decide on one action it suggests. Visit one friend and clear one old debt of speech. Put one desire on probation and see if your life shrinks without it or expands. The day after a small change is larger than the day before it. If you want a single test to carry from Seneca's desk, carry this. Will I be glad I spent part of a finite life this way? Ask it at the door of a meeting, at the mouth of a corridor of links, at the start of an argument you have already had 3 times. The answer won't always be no. Joy is part of wisdom, but the number of yeses grows when you stop outsourcing the question to habit. By the time the lamp gutters, the letters have done their quiet work. They did not ask you to become a statue. They asked you to become accurate in how you spend, how you burn, how you bind yourself to others. Tomorrow the city will call. You'll be busy because you are alive. Seneca's gift is not less life. It is less waste, so that what remains can be spent on things that return as character and connection. On another desk, years later, an emperor will copy thoughts to steady his mind before sleep. He will speak often of justice, of not being made harsh by power, of greeting each day's trouble as something fated and fitting for a human being. His name is Marcus Aurelius. With him, the porch enters a palace and tries to remain itself. A lamp, a desk, a leather notebook stained at the corners. Somewhere beyond the wall, an army sleeps in damp tents. In the narrow space between orders and dawn, an emperor writes to himself, not proclamations, not speeches, but small instructions to keep his mind fit for justice. We call the pages meditations. He called them notes to self. Marcus Aurelius was trained for command and allergic to cruelty. Power makes most people theatrical. He kept asking for proportion. He reminds himself before sunrise, today I will meet the busybody, the thankless, the shameless, the envious, the unsocial. They are this way because they don't know what is good and evil. But I have seen the nature of the good, what is noble, and I cannot be injured by their behavior, nor angry with my kin, for we are made to work together like feet, hands, eyelids. He is not excusing harm. He is arming himself against automatic contempt, so he can do his duty without becoming what he fights. For Marcus, the world is orderly enough to cooperate with, wild enough to humble you, and brief enough to focus the mind. 3 disciplines anchor him. 1. Discipline of perception. See clearly. Strip events of the costume your pride gives them. This robe smells of smoke is a fact. They disrespect me is an opinion. When you name things cleanly, panic shrinks and choices appear. He practices the view from above. Imagine rising in the mind until the camp becomes a grid of lights, the city a patch, your troubles small against the map of many lives. From height, envy and rage look like weather crossing a field. Not destiny, not identity. Return to the ground with that scale still in the eye. 2. Discipline of action. act justly. A Roman emperor could be a storm. Marcus aimed to be good weather. Justice for him is not punishment first, it is helpfulness first. Answer what you can, delegate clearly, correct without humiliation. When you cannot change a thing, do not poison the time around it. He repeats, "What is this for?" If the answer is vanity, he deletes the task. If it serves the common good, he signs his name and accepts the cost. 3. Discipline of will. Love fate by cooperating with it. He does not worship suffering. He refuses to quarrel with necessity. Rain today? Then today is for indoor tasks. Betrayal? Then today is for repair and vigilance. Illness? Then today is for patience and the work that illness leaves possible. This is the Stoic amor fati, not romanticizing pain, but refusing to waste life on the fantasy of a different world while standing in this one. He works on anger like a craftsman on a blade. Anger, he notes, punishes itself first. It makes your face a mask. It loans your mind to an enemy. He writes 2 countermoves. Delay the first reply and re-describe the offense in the mildest words that are still true. He delayed payment is better medicine than he cheated me. It doesn't erase justice. It preserves the clarity justice needs. Death walks through the notebooks without dread. Marcus inventories its uses. It clarifies value, makes petty display silly, frees you to be frank and kind today. He holds skulls without theatre. You will die. So will I. So will the person you are arguing with. In that equality, the temperature of many quarrels drops to something human-sized. Mortality is not a taunt. It is a design constraint that improves the work when remembered. He warns himself about reputation. The crowd's talk is surf, loud, forgetful, changeable. Do not weatherproof your life with applause. Build it on deeds. If praise arrives, pass it through. Credit those who helped, learn what was luck, and move on. If slander arrives, test it. If true, correct. If false, release. Your task is the inner court, the judge who watches your reasons, not the cheering section in the stands. Marcus's philosophy lives in tiny drills. Morning lines? Before the world grabs you, write 3 sentences. What kind of day is likely? What kind of person will I be in it? What virtues will I need ready? Single tasking. Choose one action and do it as if it were the last decent thing you will ever do. Quietly, fully, without complaint. Use names that untangle. Call luxury what it is. A flavored drink, a dyed cloth. The spell weakens. Appetite returns to scale. Short forgiveness. When someone blunders, imagine the places you stumble daily. Preserve standards. Let go of scorn. Evening audit. Not a trial, a tuning. Where was I wasteful? Where was I useful? What one notch can I turn tomorrow? Leadership draws out his hardest lessons. He keeps asking, am I letting office make me proud or afraid? Pride isolates, fear controls. The alternative is service. He pictures himself a citizen among citizens wearing temporary clothes. Clothes burn, character persists. He insists on transparency, explain decisions, praise the quiet competent, cut rituals that waste life. He is severe in private so he can be gentle in public, a reversal of the usual pattern. Marcus also trains attention to the present task. He compares life to a play where you don't choose the length of your role, only how well you play the part assigned right now. Child, partner, magistrate, neighbor, patient. If the role changes at noon, change with it, without complaint theatre. The script you wrote for yourself is less real than the stage under your feet. What about joy? It's there, quietly. He writes of cheerfulness without extravagance, gratitude for plain bread and a winter sun, friendship that survives the day's demands. He likes competence done without swagger. He praises those who do the work, and forget themselves. Stoicism in his hands is not grey. It is colour-corrected, neither oversaturated with craving nor drained by cynicism. Critics say, but he had power. His calm was cushioned. He knew the charge, and he worked within it. The notebooks are a record of resistance to arrogance. He fails, of course. He notes it. He tries again. That honesty is part of the medicine, virtue as an asymptote. Always reached toward, never completed, always useful. Try Marcus's way in one public situation this week. A hard meeting, a slow office, a crowded train. Before it begins, reduce events to facts. Name your purpose. Pick the virtues you'll need and accept the rest as weather. During, keep your speech short and your posture open. After, audit once, forgive twice, and return to the work. You'll recognize a small, bright change. Less friction, more dignity. From the Emperor's lamp, we turn to practices anyone can carry. Negative visualization, view from above, evening review, and the Stoic art of designing rooms, routines, and relationships so that good choices are the easy ones. The porch is wide, the tools are simple. The results, when repeated, feel like a life that has stopped arguing with itself. Philosophy becomes a life when it learns the shape of a day. The Stoics did not wait for perfect moods or quiet centuries. They built small, repeatable moves that carry you when nerves or weather will not. Think of these as instruments in a case. You don't play all of them at once. You reach for the one that fits the room. 1. Negative visualization. Rehearse to puncture shock. Close your eyes for 30 seconds and picture some ordinary good. Your morning walk, a friend's voice, your hands able to work, absent. Not to be morbid, but to vacuum the dust off gratitude and to be less surprised by change. Then open your eyes and greet the thing you still have. The aim isn't dread, it's appreciation with teeth. Once a week, extend the drill. Imagine a plan failing, a trip cancelled, an email never answered. Ask, what would I still govern? Make a tiny backup plan. When fortune later does its tricks, you've already met the floor. You don't lie there long. 2. Premeditatio malorum. Preview the day's frictions. In the morning, list the likely snags, delay, noise, haste, a boast, an unfair ask. Fit virtues to frictions, patience for delay, clarity for noise, courage for the ask. Write one line, when X appears, I will do Y. Then put the line where you'll trip over it, on your phone lock screen, at the top of a note, on a sticky near the kettle. When the snag arrives, you won't be inventing a self from scratch. You'll be keeping a promise you already designed. 3. The view from above, resize the self. Sit or stand. Imagine rising above the scene. First the room, then the street, then the city grid, then the coast, then the slow curve of the earth. Sea lights, weather, lives, 1,000 kitchens, a hospital night shift, a fisherman humming, a child asleep, your own life as one moving point among many. Return gently. You'll notice 2 things have shrunk: self-importance and panic. This isn't disconnection. It's a way to recover scale, so your next act can be clean. 4. The evening review, a ledger without scorn. Before sleep, run the day like a craftsman checking tools. Where did I judge wrongly? Where did I act justly? Where did fear or appetite tug the wheel? Pick one repair for tomorrow. No speeches, a specific change. Pause before replying to Thomas. Walk at 3 p.m. Say no once. You are not sentencing yourself. You are tuning. The point is compounding, not drama. 5. Voluntary discomfort. Unhook gently. Once in a while, choose a plainer meal, a colder shower, a walk without headphones, a day with fewer conveniences. This is not purity theatre. It's a reminder, I can be okay with less. When you know this in your bones, You negotiate with fortune from the standing height of a free person. Cravings soften, options widen. 6. Naming and framing. Tame events with accurate words. Most suffering blooms in the story we add. Practice calling a thing by the smallest true name. The email is late, not they always disrespect me. Traffic is slow, not my life is cursed. He spoke sharply, not he hates me. Small names don't deny justice, they preserve the clarity justice needs. Your nervous system will learn the difference. 7. The one breath reset. Interrupt the spiral. When you notice heat in the jaw or a tremor in the hands, drop attention into the belly and lengthen the exhale by 2 counts. Say a single cue. Steady. You've changed your body's channel long enough to choose rather than be chosen by a reaction. Pair this with a micro-action. Drink water, stand, step outside. The mind follows the body that just chose space. 8. The sphere of control. Draw the line on paper. For any live problem, divide a page. Up to me / not up to me. On the left, list behaviors. Calls to make, drafts to write, sleep, tone, boundaries, preparation. On the right, list outcomes and other people's choices. Now work the left to exhaustion before spending another unit of life arguing with the right. This one page can save a week. 9. The enough list. Design ceilings. Temperance is not about grey meals and smaller lives. It is right measure. For the domains that tend to spill, work hours, social scrolling, shopping, alcohol, praise-seeking, write down enough in advance. 8 deep work blocks per week, 30 minutes of feeds per day, 2 drinks, 1 purchase, 1 post. When the meter hits the mark, stop. You'll notice a return of quiet energy you used to pour past the rim. 10. The 2 yes rule. Guard attention with kindness. Before you accept a new commitment, require 2 yeses. 1 from present you, excited, and 1 from tired you. Can we carry this later? If tired you says no, decline or renegotiate. Justice includes the future person who must pay your promises. 11. The clean refusal. Say no without theatre. Write 3 sentences you can reuse. I can't take this on and still do right by my current commitments. That doesn't fit my priorities this month. I'm not the best person for this. Here's a better fit. Practice sending them without apology or edge. Temperance protects justice. Protecting your bandwidth protects the quality of your yes. 12. The gratitude that works. Aim at action. Each night, name 3 specific helps from others. An email, a kindness, a craft you rely on. And do 1 small reciprocation tomorrow. A note, a clean acknowledgement in a meeting, a tip that respects labor. Gratitude becomes structural, not a mood that glows and vanishes. Design helps drills stick. The Stoics would have understood choice architecture. Place what you want to do in reach. Make what you want to avoid slightly costly. Cushions by the window, a book on the cushion. The phone charger outside the bedroom. A kettle beside your journal so morning heat pulls you to the page. A walking path chosen the night before. Rules that are visible, simple, and kept. Bring the virtues into the exercises so they don't drift into hacks. In negative visualization, wisdom distinguishes fear from preparation. In premeditation, courage steps into likely friction without melodrama. In the view from above, temperance right-sizes appetite. In the evening review, justice accounts for where your actions lifted or burdened others. The 4 travel with you. The drills are their shoes. You will skip days. That is not failure. That is gravity. Restart small. 1 breath, 1 line, 1 page, split into up to me / not up to me. It's better to be reliably modest than gloriously inconsistent. The Stoic promise is cumulative. A little less panic, a little more poise, choices made closer to reality, repairs made faster, dignity that doesn't depend on applause. As the case closes for the night, notice the feeling, not invincibility, but equipment. You won't control the sea, and you no longer need to. Tomorrow you will meet other captains of the same craft, people practicing in different rooms under different pressures. The next chapter turns outward, ethics in action, how Stoic steadiness becomes justice at work, in family, in public life, where calm isn't escape, but the oxygen that lets you do the decent thing all the way to the end. The Stoa was never a monastery. It stood in the street, which is exactly where Stoicism belongs. Among deadlines, invoices, kitchen tables and town squares where people argue about what matters. The four virtues do not live in glass. They are tools. Here is how they hold when the world has keys to your door. At work, clear, fair, steady. A team is a small city. Its weather is made by how people speak, how they share credit, how they correct mistakes. The Stoic question is simple. What would be useful and just right now? Not flashy. Useful. Meetings. Begin with a sentence that names the purpose and the decision you must leave with. Notice how much drama evaporates when wisdom provides a map. End 5 minutes early and give the time back. That's justice for everyone's day. Credit. When a win arrives, list by name who did the unglamorous work. This isn't politeness. It's courage against your own appetite for applause, and it breeds a culture where people try instead of perform. Corrections. Choose a tone that fixes the boat without sinking the sailor. Here's what's off. Here's why. Here's how we're going to fix it. Delivered privately. Temperance keeps your edge from sharpening into scar. Boundaries. Guard the hours that make you good at your job. Sleep, deep work, a walk that loosens the mind. Boundaries aren't selfish. They are justice toward the people who depend on your clarity. When conflict comes, sort positions from interests. One wants X, the other wants Y. Underneath, both want to finish on time without rework. Name the shared interest and design one small experiment that serves it. Progress is often a well-placed try. If you lead, practice quiet backbone. Explain decisions in plain speech. Abolish rituals that waste life. Protect the shy competent. Invite dissent before you commit. Then commit. Employees can feel the difference between control and care, the way skin feels weather. At home, firmness without hardness. Family is where virtues stop being slogans. In the kitchen, wisdom is noticing the moment a conversation tilts toward heat. Temperance is switching from a lecture to a walk. Justice is remembering how the other person's day landed. Courage is saying the first clean apology. Design a small domestic constitution. 2 yes rule. New commitments require 2 yeses. The excited version of you and the tired version who will carry it later. If tired, you says no, renegotiate. This protects future justice. Repair ritual. Arguments are inevitable. Repair is optional. Write a 3-step ritual that anyone can start. 1. I felt when. 2. What would help next time? 3. One thing I can do differently is. Keep it short so pride can't stall it. Screens. Make one room or hour screen light. Not to be pure, but to make attention available. Read, cook, sit. Presence is a scarce kindness. Parenting is a slow oikeiosis. Widening circles of concern. You model what you want repeated. Honesty with warmth. Consequences without humiliation. Resilience without bravado. Children read your weather more closely than your rules. When you miss, narrate the miss and the repair. You are training a citizen, not auditioning for perfection. In public, justice is helpfulness first. The Stoics called all humans co-citizens of one city. That doesn't float above policy, it lands as habits, civility. Speak to the person, not the caricature. Help me understand your constraint here, shifts heat to light. Wisdom wants facts. Justice wants conditions where many can live. Temperance trims the adjectives that make enemies from neighbors. Outrage economy. Many systems profit when you are permanently angry. Refuse to be farmed. Choose channels that pursue outcomes, not spectacle. If you must fight, fight where truth can actually move. A local meeting, a letter with precise requests, a coalition that adds numbers, not noise. Sphere of control, civic edition. Draw 2 columns. On the left, actions with real leverage. Votes, calls, donations, volunteer hours. Building the alternative you wish existed. On the right, rituals that exhaust you without effect. Doom scrolls, purity tests, performative feuds. Spend yourself leftward. Justice sometimes needs courage that costs. Speak when silence would betray, but do it with temperance. No dehumanization. No victory that requires someone to be less than a person. You can be firm and still offer a door back to cooperation. In a city of doors, change travels farther. Scripts that save days. Keep a few sentences polished and ready. Setting a boundary at work. I can't take this on and still do right by the commitments I've made. If it's critical, let's decide what drops de-escalating at home. I want to talk about this, but not like this. Walk with me? Civic disagreement. We probably won't agree fully. Here's one concrete thing we can try this month. Will you help me test it? Short, human, specific. Stoic speech is useful or quiet. Small drills that change the room. Before a meeting, write 3 words you want to be true of your presence, e.g. clear, fair, calm. Hold them like a meter. During conflict, breathe low, lower your voice, shorten your sentences. People mirror pace before they mirror content. After a decision, name the reason out loud, so you train yourself and your team to think in reasons, not moods. When you're tired, virtue doesn't ask you to be superhuman. It asks you to size the day. On heavy days, shrink the target and hit it cleanly. 1 honest email, 1 repair, 1 help given, 1 appetite kept to measure. The self-respect that returns is fuel you can spend tomorrow. The feel of it. When ethics is working, rooms get easier to breathe in. People argue less about turf and more about tasks. Apologies come quicker. Praise travels sideways, not just up. Meetings end sooner. Families stop keeping quiet ledgers. Strangers switch from threats to partners in a problem. You become the sort of person others relax around because your weather is stable. Warm, not soft. Firm, not sharp. This is not sainthood. It is craft. You will still get it wrong. You will still speak too fast, promise too much, carry too little sleep into a decision that deserved more. The difference is method. You know how to return. You know which virtue was thin and how to feed it. You know what is yours to govern and what belongs to the sea. From here we turn to a stubborn myth, that Stoics are statues. The next chapter opens the chest. Joy without clinging, caution without panic, love without possession. The healthy emotions the old books defended, and the ways to feel them fully without being dragged by them. The statue myth dies the moment you listen closely. The early Stoics never asked you to be stone. They asked you to be sound. Their target wasn't emotion. It was emotional illiteracy. The storm that drags judgment behind it like wreckage. They drew a clear line between feelings that cooperate with reason and feelings that kidnap it. They called the healthy set, the good emotions, joy, caution, and wish. Not ice, clarity with warmth. Joy is the glow when you live in line with what you believe is good. When a choice fits your best standards. When you help without a trumpet. When your day and your values stop arguing. It's not confetti. It's rightness felt in the body. Joy scales. It can be the quiet pride after telling a hard truth. The lift you get from finishing a task cleanly. The sweetness that arrives after repairing with someone you love. Stoicism wants more of this kind of joy, not less. It comes from virtue in motion. Caution is the nervous system's wisdom, fear with judgment, not fear running the controls. It's the voice that says, this deal looks glittery, but smuggles rot. This road is icy. This habit will tax tomorrow's strength. Caution pairs with courage so you don't freeze. It simply adjusts the step and the gear. Panic throws you against the problem. Caution positions you to solve it. Wish here means well-aimed desire, wanting good things that are up to you. To act justly today, to become a steadier partner, to speak with accuracy, to leave a place better than you found it. It's desire with a steering wheel, desire that improves character the moment it's held, even before it lands. Against these stand the passions that overrun, grasping pleasure, blind appetite, paralysis, rage. The Stoics don't deny their arrival, they deny them jurisdiction. A surge can knock at the door, a scent decides who lives inside. This matters most in rooms where love and loss breathe. Love without possession. Stoic love is wider and calmer than the clutching kind. To love a person is to will their good, not to own their script. You can want them close, safe, flourishing. You do not confuse that want with a right to author them. Jealousy shrinks when you replace surveillance with service. What can I do that actually improves their day? Can I be easier to live with? Can I be trustworthy without requiring a choreography of proof? Temperance protects love from devouring the life that feeds it. You put ceilings on melodrama and floors under kindness. You forgive promptly, not as a performance, but to stop corrosion. You also guard standards, not to punish, but to ensure the room is still a place where both can breathe. Grief that honors, not erases. The Stoics do not outlaw grief. They teach clean sorrow. Someone you love dies. Something precious ends. You cry, you speak of them. You carry rituals forward. Flowers on a day, a recipe, a story that keeps their laugh from falling through the floor. What you refuse is the story that says love is proven by permanent collapse. The departed are not honored by your ruin. Grief belongs in the house. It does not get the deed. When it surges, you give it chair and tea. When it asks to steer forever, you say no. Even here, the sphere of control holds. You govern how you carry the loss, not whether loss exists in a mortal world. Preferred indifference, properly used, health, money, status, beauty. Stoics call them preferred indifference. They are not the good itself. Virtue is, but they can be useful. Keep health to serve. Use money to free time for better work. Accept honor if it amplifies what is decent, but never strap your self-respect to them. They are guests, not foundations. The trick is to enjoy without captivity. Gratitude when present, grace when absent, and the same character in either case. A test. If losing a thing demands that you lose yourself to keep it, it's no longer a tool, it's a trap. If keeping a thing makes you worse at loving or thinking, it's no longer preferred. What healthy feeling looks like in a day, a win at work. You feel the lift. You thank the team. You examine which choices produce the result. You let joy fuel more useful work rather than an after-party of ego. A hard conversation. You feel heat rise. You slow the pace. You choose mild words that are still true. Afterward, you feel relief, not because you won, but because you kept the room safe while saying the needed thing. A scroll trap. You notice the numb buzz. You stop at your pre-written enough. You replace it with a call to a friend or a walk. Pleasure remains. Captivity fades. A child's risk. Fear flares. You don't perform heroics for your own anxiety. You teach skill, build guardrails, and let them practice courage appropriate to their size. Under the myths, Stoicism is a temperature adjustment, not a color drain. It cools the burn that blinds. It warms the life that chills. People around you won't say, "What a statue." They'll say, "What steadiness? What a relief. What a person who doesn't make their feelings your problem but still has them." How to train the feel, not just the thought, name the color. When emotion surges, label it with one word: joy, grief, anger, fear. Then add one reason and one right next step. Naming reduces fog. The step gives it a road. Right-size the dose. Ask, if this emotion were a volume knob, what level would help me act well? Set it with breath, posture, pace. Aim the energy. Every strong feeling carries fuel. Decide what virtue it will power. Anger, justice, repair, fear, caution, planning, desire, wish, duty, joy, gratitude, service. Keep one porch rule. In speech, choose either kindness or silence when your temperature is high. You can revisit content later with a cooler head. You can't unsay a thrown plate of words. The taste of a Stoic joy. It isn't loud. It feels like alignment. Your choices, your duties, your loves, your limits, all standing closer than they did last month. You laugh more easily because fewer things are a referendum on your worth. You sleep more quickly because your mind is done rehearsing a world you don't control. You notice ordinary sweetness, bread, a window's light, a friend's message, and you are greedy for none of it. The joy isn't scarce. It returns whenever you live by the few things that are always available. Honesty, fairness, patience, well-aimed effort. If someone asks what Stoics feel, offer this: full feeling, clean handling. The heart is kept warm. The hand stays steady on the tool. From here, we can turn outward again to the noisy century and its borrowed worries, to therapy's kinship with Stoic practice, to attention as a resource you can spend like money or save like time. The aim isn't to become less human. It is to become beautifully human and hard to knock off course. Open your hand and imagine a small coin stamped attention. Spend it and the day changes shape. Save it and strength accrues. In the ancient city, that coin was sought by poets, vendors, friends. In ours, it is hunted by machines built to notice your pulse. The Stoics never met an algorithm, but they understood the economy of inner life. What you attend to becomes your world. If you don't choose, something else will. Modern psychology rediscovers this with different tools. It says, between an event and your emotion, there's a thought. Often silent, sometimes crooked. Correct the thought, and the feeling shifts. Test the fear, and the panic dims. Act in small doses against avoidance, and courage grows. The old Porch nods. Assent is the hinge. You cannot stop the first impression. You can choose the story that follows. Start where the day begins. A phone lights the room. A Stoic does not start with shame or purity. They start with design. Put the charger in the hall. Wake to a real clock. Set the device to grayscale. Silence non-human notifications. Move social tiles off the home screen. This isn't ideology, it's carpentry. You're building a room where you can govern yourself before the city claims you. The first win is not a perfect morning ritual. It is a morning in which you boot your attention once. When anxiety rises, do not recite slogans at it. Feel it in the body, jaw tight, breath high, chest busy. Stoic practice pairs well with therapy's tools. Lengthen the exhale. Drop attention into the belly. Name the fear in a sentence without prophecy. Then expose yourself to a small piece of what frightens you. The conversation you've delayed. The tiny speech you must give. The doctor's portal you've avoided opening. Courage is graded. It arrives dose by dose. The aim is not to never feel fear. It is to be able to act while feeling it, guided by values rather than alarms. The news asks to live in your skull rent-free. A Stoic does not hide. They budget. Choose 1 or 2 quality sources. Read at one time each day. Never within the first or last hour. Never by infinite scroll. Ask 3 questions. What happened? What can I do? What should I ignore? If there is no action you'll take, mark the story for awareness only and return to the sphere you can move. You do not become moral by carrying more headlines than you can help. Work in the noisy century rewards frenzy. The Stoic answer is pace. Build days from blocks. 90 minutes of work, 10 to 15 of recovery, rather than from constant micro-switching. Single task the few things worth doing with both hands. Close chat windows for the deep part. Write agreements where others can see them. 3 deep work blocks per week is a civic promise, not a private wish. When emergencies occur, let them be rare by design. If every hour is critical, none of them are. Calm is not the opposite of productivity, it is its foundation. Loneliness swells in bright rooms. Stoicism is not solitary, it is selective. Keep a short list of humans who would notice if your day went wrong. Write them first. Replace the daily scroll with a daily note. 1 message of thanks, 1 honest check-in, 1 invitation for a walk. Justice begins at the smallest border. Your block, your kitchen, your inbox. A cosmopolis is built from these rooms. Uncertainty is the climate of the age. The Stoics did not solve it. They learned to sail in it. You keep a prepared mind, cash for a month, backups for key files, a plan B for travel. Then refuse to spend the rest of your life rehearsing tragedies you won't meet. Negative visualization once a week keeps gratitude sharp. Dwelling keeps fear employed. The difference is dose and direction. A little rehearsal to puncture shock, then back to living. Health talk is loud now. Wisdom is quieter. 3 practical loyalties govern a steadier mind. Sleep, movement, food that fits the next task. Sleep. Guard a consistent window. Darken the room. No arguments in the last hour. Let tomorrow's list live on paper, not in your brain. Movement. Short and daily beats heroic and rare. Walk after meals. Lift your own weight or a simple weight a few times. Stretch what tightens. Food. Warm on cold days. Light on slow ones. Water nearby. The point is clarity, not ideology. When the body is less inflamed, the mind listens. Happiness here is not a peak, it's a texture. The texture of a desk cleared before noon. The texture of an honest refusal sent without malice. The texture of a phone turned face down during a meal. The texture of a news fast during a fragile week. These are not performances. They are the unglamorous ways a person reclaims authorship over the day's plot. When failure returns, as it will, use it like a stone under the foot to cross the river. Name the pattern. I doom-scrolled instead of starting. Shrink the next step. Open the document. Type 1 ugly paragraph. Protect the hour that protects you. This is not self-help as self-siege. It is self-governance as mercy. You are building conditions where the decent thing becomes the easy thing. If you must keep one rule for attention, keep this. Choose your first light and your last light. The first minutes write the day's posture. The last minutes write the night's repair. In the morning, read a paragraph that asks something of you. In the evening, perform a small evening review, 3 lines. Useful, waste, repair. Sleep under that simple truth, and tomorrow opens cleaner. Modern therapy and the old Porch share a handshake. They both believe people can practice their way into better days. One uses experiments and worksheets, the other virtues and drills. Both are suspicious of grand vows and fond of small repeated acts. Both say, measure success by trajectory, not by drama. The world may grow louder, you can grow quieter and more precise. From here we widen the circle again. Stoicism is not only self-craft, It is relationship craft and world craft. The next chapter enters friendship, love, and the idea of a cosmopolis, a city of all rational beings, where truth-telling is paired with gentleness, boundaries with goodwill, and where your steadiness becomes a kind of public service felt by everyone who shares your weather. Imagine the porch widened into a city square. People cross from every direction, clients and kin, strangers and rivals, the hurried and the kind. Stoicism isn't only self-craft, it is relationship craft. The same four virtues that steady your inner weather become architecture for how we live together. Friendship, a standard, not a mirror. A Stoic friend is not an echo. A Stoic friend is a daily standard, someone in whose presence you wish to stand a little straighter. Choose few and choose well. Look for clear speech with warm intent, not cleverness that burns. Test a friendship by what it does to your habits. After time with them, do you spend better, speak cleaner, act braver? If so, feed the fire. If not, let the tie cool without drama. Friendship needs reciprocity more than spectacle. Keep it alive with simple, reliable moves. Show up when life is heavy. Tell the truth when flattery would be cheaper. Remember dates that are hard for them, not just glittering for you. Praise in public, correct gently in private, and let your friends correct you without owing tribute. That is dignity shared, not traded. Truth without harm. The Stoic rule of candor is not say everything, it is say the useful truth, kindly at the right time. Before you speak, pass a sentence through 3 gates. Is it true? Not rumor, not impulse. Is it necessary? Does silence do the job? Can it be said so the person survives the saying? If all 3 open, speak short and exact. Long speeches leak courage. Short ones land. Train tone like a craftsman trains the hand. Steady, not theatrical. Boundaries as justice. Boundaries aren't fences of pride. They're agreements that keep love livable. They protect the hours that let you be the person others came here for. Write a few you can say without heat. I can't stay if the voices rise. I won't read during meals. I'll answer honest questions. I won't spar for sport. I can help with X, not with Y. Here's someone better for that. Enforce them calmly. A boundary spoken with scorn becomes a weapon. Spoken with steadiness, it becomes instruction. You are not punishing. You are protecting the room where everyone can breathe. Love without possession. To love is to will the other's good, including their freedom. Desire is not a crime. Captivity is. Stoic love wants proximity, but refuses authorship over the other's script. Replace surveillance with service. Make their day easier in ways that aren't a leash. Finish the dull chore. Safeguard their solitude. Praise their courage to their face when there's nothing to gain by it. Argue like citizens of the same city. No name-calling, no courtroom tricks. Use the repair ritual when heat rises. When X happened, I felt Y. Next time, what would help is, I can do Z differently. Keep it simple so pride has nowhere to hide. Forgive quickly, forgetting is optional, but the will to repair must be visible. Temperance keeps love from burning the house it warms. Oikiosis, widening circles. The old word means becoming at home with. A Stoic begins with care for their own mind and body, then expands. Family, neighbours, colleagues, city, strangers, the cosmopolis. You practice widening by acts that cost a little. Carry a bag on the stairs. Tip as if labour were not invisible. Answer the email nobody wants because it prevents a worse outcome for 10 people later. Citizenship here isn't flags and slogans. It is usefulness. The person who quietly aligns process with reality is building a city no decree could manage. The cashier who refuses to escalate scorn. The nurse who explains one more time without contempt. The driver who leaves space. These are the engineers of daily peace. Stoicism calls this justice without trumpets. Scripts that keep us human keep a few phrases polished. They turn quarrels into solvable problems. To disagree without enemies, help me see what you're optimizing for. To refuse kindly, I can't do that well and still keep my other promises. Can we choose to correct with dignity? Here's the effect that had. Can we try this instead? To de-escalate. Same team, same goal. Let's reset the tone. They are not magic. They are handles. When grabbed, doors open. The policy of praise is cheap when it flatters and expensive when it's accurate. Practice accurate praise. Name the specific action and the virtue you saw. You were fair under pressure. You chose clarity over speed. You apologized before I could ask. This builds identity around character, not approval. Repair and amends, you will fail others. When you do, pay fast and in the right currency. If you harmed time, give time back. If you harmed trust, accept verification without sulking. If you harmed reputation, praise publicly. The Stoic does not worship guilt. They use it. Guilt's job is to move you toward repair and then leave. When to walk. Not every bond is redeemable. If contact repeatedly shrinks your capacity for virtue, if the room demands your worst self as the entrance fee, step back or go. Do it without a speech that burns bridges. Leave a door ajar for the day both of you grow. Stoic mercy includes distance, Cosmopolis in practice. Pick one civic lane and stay there long enough to matter. Literacy mentoring, neighborhood safety, elder visits, clean parks, legal aid, public meetings translated into plain speech. You aren't saving the world. You are making part of it breathable. Combine courage, show up with wisdom, learn before you act. Justice, aim for the common benefit. Temperance, avoid the spotlight addiction. Your steadiness becomes a public service others feel before they know its name. The feel of good company. Around a Stoic, people lower their shoulders. They sense you won't use their slip as theatre, that you carry your own weight, that your yes means yes and your no won't arrive covered in apologies or knives. You don't make feelings illegal. You make them legible. You don't make demands vague. You make them doable. And when the day ends, your ledger isn't full of victories over people. It's full of victories with people. Carry this into tomorrow. Choose one friendship to feed, one boundary to keep, one truth to say kindly, one civic act to do without a trumpet. The Cosmopolis is not a dream. It is the sum of these small, repeatable decencies. Under that weather, love stays warm, work stays human, and strangers share a city that doesn't grind them into caricatures. That is the Stoa, widened until it includes all of us. Dim the room. Let the screen be a window, not a shout. Sit or lie down with your spine easy and your jaw unarmed. One hand on the belly, one on the chest. Breathe in through the nose for a slow count of 4. Hold 1, out for 6. Again. Let the breath drop lower, as if the body were remembering a skill it never really lost. Your shoulders listen and agree. The mind will try to narrate. Thank it, and give it simpler work. Arrival. Name 3 facts of this moment in plain words. I am here. The room is quiet enough. The day is ending. No judgment, only inventory. Let the face soften the way a fist opens when it remembers it is not holding anything. The small audit. Bring the day onto the table like tools after work. We will look without scorn. What was useful? Find one scene where you acted in line with your standards. A sentence kept short. A promise kept. A temptation met with proportion. Name the virtue involved. Wisdom, justice, courage, or temperance. And let the body register the feel of alignment, like a door that swung on oiled hinges. What was waste? Without drama, Place one spill from today in the tray, scrolling when you meant to start. A sharp reply that cost more than it bought. Overpromising from anxiety. Label it with the smallest true name. Small names shrink the monster from legend to task. What repair will you make? Choose a repair as specific as a knot. Write Anna tomorrow at 10 and apologize for the delay. Delete the draft I won't send. Move the meeting that needs oxygen. No speeches. Repairs live or die on clarity and schedule. Breath reset. In for 4. Hold 1. Out for 6. 3 rounds. As you exhale, imagine letting the day's leftover static leave with the breath like dust from a windowsill. Reframing the hard parts. Pick one difficulty from today and lay it flat. Describe it as a note a stranger might read. Remove the crown words. Always, never, everyone, ruined. Ask, what was up to me? What wasn't? Circle one thing that was yours and one thing that wasn't. Release the one on the right. You are not required to carry furniture that belongs to a different house. Gratitude with a task attached. Name 3 helps from other people, seen or unseen. The nurse who explained twice. The developer whose tool you used without thinking. The friend who texted a steady question. For one of them, plan a small return tomorrow, a note with a fact, a public credit, a tip that respects labour, a favour you can do without debt. Gratitude becomes structure when it spends itself. The view from above, close the eyes, rise in the mind as if looking out a high window. See the building, the street, the city, the coast, the slow curve where night is already crossing morning somewhere else. Count lights that are not yours. Kitchens, taxis, a late shift, a child turned over in sleep. Your life is one moving point among many, important to you, real, not the center of the map. This is not dismissal, it is scale. Return gently, like a leaf settling. Temperance for tomorrow. Write an enough list with ceilings you can keep. The number of deep work blocks, the minutes for feeds, the drinks, the spend, the meetings you'll accept. Enough frees the day from leaking. Post it where tired you will see it first, and thank you. Premeditatio, light version. Preview the likely frictions of tomorrow as a courteous host would. A delay, an ego, a noise, a form. Pair each with a ready virtue and a sentence. If the meeting drifts, I'll name the decision we owe and the next step. If I'm provoked, I'll lower my voice and ask for the constraint. If the plan fails, I'll find the seam I can move. These are not vows, only lanes painted on the road. The clean refusal. Draft one sentence you will need to say, I can't take that on and still do right by the work I've promised. Copy it where your future self can reach it without heat. Boundaries spoken calmly are doors that still open and close after midnight. The ledger of time. Seneca would ask, will I be glad I spent part of a finite life this way? Choose one thing for tomorrow that earns a yes, even if the rest unravels. A page, a walk, a call, a repair. Place it in the first light. Do not let the market open before your mind does. On love and grief. If loss lives in the room with you, set a chair for it and make it tea. You are not required to hide it to be strong, nor to feed it every hour to be loyal. Speak one line to the absent. I carried you today when... Keep one thing you learned from them in tomorrow's pocket as a tool, not a wound. Mercy for the self. If you failed at a thing. You are not the thing. Use the miss as a handle, not a whip. Ask, which virtue was thin? Feed that one. Wisdom with a page, justice with a message, courage with a step, temperance with a ceiling. Closing the shop, tidy your attention as you would a counter. Put away what cuts, leave out what nourishes. Phone to charge outside the room. A book or blank card within reach. Curtains drawn. The bed becomes a place for repair, not a stage for debate. Final breath set. In for 4, hold 2, out for 8. Picture the ribs like shutters that open and close without argument. Whisper one word to carry into sleep. Steady, kind, clear, or your own. Let the exhale be longer than the day. If the mind returns to chatter, offer it a simple chore. Count backward from 100 by threes. Trace in memory the route you walk to the corner store. Match the breath to the ticking device on the table. When it wanders again, guide it back without a courtroom. Repeat until the body takes the hint. If you wake in the dark, do not indict yourself. Night is allowed to be night. Touch the breath once more. Choose the smallest next comfort. Water, window, a sentence from the notebook, and return. Tomorrow will still be there. It prefers a person who arrives composed. The purpose of this evening practice is not to become untouchable. It is to become reachable by your own better self when the world is loud or thin. You have reviewed what mattered, repaired what you could, designed your morning, and set down what is not yours to carry. The rest belongs to sleep. We've reached the quiet edge of the porch. The day has given what it could. The mind has done its work. Keep only what fits in 2 pockets. In the first pocket, a short list, what is up to me, my judgments, intentions, the next small act. The 4 virtues, wisdom to see, justice to serve, courage to step, temperance to size the dose. 1 repair for tomorrow, already chosen. In the second pocket, a permission slip to lay down what isn't yours. Other people's weather, yesterday's verdicts, prophecies about a future that hasn't asked your name yet. Let them pass like carts on a road. You're not required to chase. Remember the shape of a decent day. Begin with clarity, move with usefulness, end with review and mercy. When you miss, and you will, use the miss like a rung, not a whip. Name it, learn, adjust 1 notch, and keep your hands kind. You don't have to feel extraordinary to live well. Ordinary steadiness, repeated, becomes a kind of light in rooms that need it. A meeting that ends when it should. A boundary that protects everyone's breath. A refusal sent without scorn. A thank you that lands with facts, not flattery. This is philosophy as craft. Quiet excellence at human scale. Before we go, choose 1 word to carry across the threshold. Steady, fair, brave, or enough. Let it ride the breath once, in and out, and settle where it can remind without nagging. In a moment, the voice will step back and the shore will take over, the soft repetition of water doing what water does. You can stay as long as you like. Let the sound sand down the day's rough edges. Let it keep company while you write, or soften the room while you sleep. Nothing to understand, nothing to perform, just the still pulse of a world that doesn't need your effort to move. Set the tools down, leave the gate unlatched for morning, and walk lightly the way a person walks who knows what belongs to them and what belongs to the sea.